Hello and welcome everybody to the Front Nine coverage of Round 1 of the 2021 MVP Open at Maple Hill, presented by MVP Disc Sports. I'm Brian Earhart, joined here by my co-host Nate Perkins. Nate, me and you have both played this course many times, and every single year we come back here, it's the same feeling, but bigger and bigger and bigger, and this is shaping up to be one of the biggest events at this course yet.
Brian, where do we even begin the magic that is Maple Hill? And in September, we're just 55 miles west of Boston. It's like a kid took this backyard Christmas tree farm and just built the ultimate paradise.
The ultimate paradise. It's the number one course.
Golf.
Number one course on UDisc right now. We have a phenomenal card that you're about to see here. We move into hole number 1, looking over part of the Christmas tree farm. Pretty big water carry, and on round 1 we had a stiff headwind, and this was making this opening drive so challenging. You have to throw as far as you can with shape to get the distance, to then attack this funneling green that has out of bounds all the way around it. So distance is key. You kind of know when you're able to go for it. And here we go. Matt Orum, Cale Leiviska, Jordan Castro, Connor O'Reilly. Highest PDGA number to ever win a national tour event. This is an amazing card to start this tournament.
So Connor just won his first Elite Series event last week at Iron Hill, and Cale just walk-off aced for the win at a B tier in Connecticut, just adding to the legend that he already is at 38 years old. And we have both of them right here on this card.
And we have Matt Orum, who just dominated the Stafford Open, and Jordan Castro, MVP player that we haven't seen a lot of this year, but he looks great. He's a very spin-oriented player. And you see how much hyzer Cale is having to jam this shot on to get through the wind, but showing off that he's got the distance as well. That's one of Cale's more underrated parts of his game. I think he can smash the disc.
That was the ace disc
That he just threw? Yeah, what an incredible shot. Walk-off ace caught on camera.
The 387-foot hole he aced on the final hole to win by 1.
Okay, Jordan putting good height on this. Oh, but it's got a lift. Oh, shoot. There is that heavy, it felt like it was a head right to left slamming that right edge of the disc down. And here we go. This is a man that takes his job very seriously, puts a lot of work in. And this was the confidence boost that he needed.
OptoX Ballista Pro right here.
Very overstable run of this disc.
Yeah, buddy.
Connor has mentioned that he really admires the way Eagle McMahon attacks his distance drives on hyzer to manage the wind, and you're noticing that he's starting to find his own style as a player. He's not necessarily taking all these little elements from players anymore. He's starting to build his own kind of brand. We got to see a lot of that last weekend at Iron Hill. And this is a position where you're really starting to think, 4 might be okay. It's pretty stress-free if you get your drive and play on the first one.
Yeah, he's just taking a justice out wide here, playing to the mouth. Everything that you see outside of those walls is out of bounds.
Yeah. And that's what's scary. If you're far back, you can attack this with a turnover, but you kick and roll bounce and you're instantly taking an extra stroke. So if you're not in an amazing spot, you're doing what Matty O is doing here, who has admitted in the past that he's beginning to play a bit more conservative compared to how he used to play. And it's obviously paying off. He's had a fantastic stretch to close out this last half.
And you can see how quick those Christmas trees on the left can turn into a bunker and force even a great drive like Cale's to lay up.
Ooh, and Jordan has thrown a really solid approach. Sitting right next to the basket.
Has anyone's stock risen more than Matt Orum's this year?
As a player, I'm not entirely sure. He's a joy to interview. He's fun to have shoot well because then you can listen to him talk about the game in such a unique way. Such an intuitive player. And Jordan is going to take a bogey after that rough drive that got slammed down by that cross. That's the tricky part about this course. The wind seems to come and go from all sorts of different directions, and it always comes off the water. There's a few different bodies of water on this course that
Hole
seem
one
to...
was ripping.
Yes.
That was ripping, Brian. I mean, you teed it.
750, and we had 15-mile-an-hour wind, heavy.
Yeah, and by 10 o'clock, it was still that windy.
3 pars and a bogey. We're going to see you on number 2 here. Little bit uphill on the drive. This stone wall on the right side is all out of bounds. Beautiful natural bunker of trees on the left side that make this drive challenging. A lot of people are throwing rollers.
I've seen a lot of rollers.
There's a bunch of rocks in that middle ditch, but people are chancing the hop, which somehow has been pretty successful in years past. And Matt is going for the roller. It ensures that you have a long putt if you just lay it down. If you get to the ditch, it's about, what, 60, 70 feet?
Yep, 70 feet uphill. And the roller really takes the OB out of play almost because it would be so hard to climb over that rock wall.
Yeah, so this air shot is just very challenging. This long, panning turnover that flattens and doesn't go too far right.
Cale's throwing this D1 low on some Annie.
That is a skilled shot. That is just simple. That's the thing that I think Cale does so well is he likes to throw his drivers with the extension that he would throw with a putter. So he kind of downplays the driver and just shapes it to get that little extra distance without that much extra power. And there's that Conor O'Reilly brand. He calls it a Hinto Heiser.
Yeah.
And that's his most neutral Explorer.
And we're going to give a little tree love donation there. A little nice bounce for Conor O'Reilly. Okay, Jordan ripping the roller. I've heard from a few MVP players that making the switch, the thing that they noticed quickly was how different the MVP discs were rolling for them and how many different discs in the lineup were rolling really, really well. Okay.
Connor from 40.
He was hitting his circle 2 putts last week. Ooh, missed by just a few inches.
Interesting miss to hit the top and
the top
cage.
of
You
the
don't
band.
see that often too.
And Cale's also going to miss on the weak side.
Just inside the circle as well. You do not see that very often from Cale.
No, as you can see, the wind is down on this green. You have it ripping on hole 1, but just to the side of hole 1's fairway going up the other way, we have a completely calm flag. It's kind of the name of the game out here.
And then 4, you can kind of feel it coming up the pond sometimes. 5, you don't even know when you're throwing out over the water.
Yeah.
The wind out here can make it so much trickier than it already is.
Yeah, because it's not constant, and because the course doesn't follow like a perfect linear path, you're always faced with some sort of differing wind that you have to really trust your equipment in, because sometimes you're not feeling it off the tee.
Maple Hill has so many holes where you have to throw premium lines for the chance at birdie.
Absolutely.
Not
Powerful.
most of them.
The Destroyer is essential on tour. One of the most versatile distance drivers in Innova's lineup. The new Halo plastic is probably the prettiest plastic that Innova has in their lineup. It makes for a really cool disc to bag. Very confident in throwing the Destroyer and keeping it in bounds at far ranges.
Hole number 3, a very challenging uphill flex shot. Hasn't changed in a few years since they've pushed it back, but you have to throw something that just drifts ever so slightly. You can't throw the hard flex shot. My favorite way to play this hole is Paul McBeth throwing the Undertaker. I love this like slightly flippy fairway that, you know, spin gets controlled, nose angle gets controlled, and it just pops over to the right. Matteo throws kind of similar lines, actually.
He caught the sunglasses.
What?
I saw him throw this shot. He caught his sunglasses as they fell off his head. Held the
That's
follow
just next
through.
level dexterity through trial and error. I think he's had to do that quite a few times.
Yeah, so the Undertaker shot you're talking about is a way that I would say it's 50-50 for people that throw that straight to drifting shot to people that try and force it over, you know? But those trees on the right, the one that Cale just got, that one's really in the way of that force over
flex.
with something stable.
Exactly. But I really think when it comes to similar lines, weirdly enough, I think Matteo and Paul do seem to like those little nose-up drifter shots. Connor hitting a little early. Down there on the right side, you don't always have a great look up to the basket for a 3, so we'll see where he's at. Ooh, it's inside. Left side has some lanes.
Can be tough up and down from over there, especially that early. Connor's just going putter here from 250.
He mentioned to me just recently that this is a shot that he's put so much work in, is the touch putter shot, the shots that you have to feel. You know, form doesn't necessarily matter as much.
And he displayed that at Iron Hill coming down
my
the stretch.
Yes. And that's where you make up those 7-8 strokes that you can look at the end of the tournament and go, you know, shoot, how are these people beating me? But it's from those simple little shots.
Jordan nearly getting there.
Just outside circle 2 for Maddie. Ooh. Curling up the steep Anheuser. Loved the pace on that. Just needed a little bit more height.
Just a little high on the last putt, a little low on that one.
And you see quite a few long putts out here. And you gotta be solid from circle 2 if you want to save a good score. It's hard to put a birdie look inside the bullseye.
It's a good par save from Cale.
Yeah, Jordan and Connor kicking early, and the kicks went where they were supposed to go. That's kind of what happens out here.
Especially on this front.
Treacherous.
It can be a quick birdie or a quick bogey on any of these holes.
I want to highlight something here, Nate. This is one of the few holes, I was thinking about it during my round, talking to Dustin Keegan. This is one of the few holes that we've had Elite Series events at for a long, long time. That's barely changed, if ever.
It really has been the same hole. It is such a trick shot hole.
Yes.
You can just
It's a
tempted to
4-foot
throw-
gap.
It's so tiny. Probably is 4 feet.
Yeah,
Probably.
and you, even if you watch the old like DVDs from, you know, MSDGC at this tournament, which I highly recommend getting your hands on,
That's the second time I've heard about those videos this week, and I had never before. Apparently, they were like some of the early.
And they were
disc
very
golf
well
videos.
done. And they did a lot of highlight reels of all the players that were playing in the event. And a lot of the coverage came to this hole, just watching all the different ways people played it. And Cale has this shot dialed. We watched him ace a few years ago. He's going to hit a little bit early. There is option to do what Connor's doing. There is a little hyzer off to the right side.
I've seen players jump putt this year.
Yeah.
Kevin James are just jump putting this hole.
And that's a part of the game that I wonder.
Wow, Connor.
Okay.
Connor missed his line. He meant to throw a straight shot. He missed left of the tree and hyzered all the way.
Well, I like
a trick shot hole.
Oh, and Jordan
there's
is
a
going
jump
jump putt.
See, and the jump putt is trying to go wide of the cluster that
Yes.
you could see Jordan hit.
Unless you have a super flippy putter. I wonder how many players a long time ago that were playing this hole. I wonder how many players were jump putting back then. I feel like the jump putt is something that is just getting longer and longer, and putting ranges of players are getting longer and longer. Like I think of Thomas Gilbert. He comes to mind.
And remember Cole at Northwoods?
Yeah,
jump
yeah.
putting just 100 plus feet.
And Cale's going to cash a birdie putt spinner from circle 2. And Cale actually briefly switched to a spin putt maybe a year or two ago. Kind of had like
Last
a Seppo
season.
Payu moment or
Last
like a
season.
Nico moment. Yeah, and just to get some reps on it, and paid off for him in circle 2 here. Speaking of spinner, one of the best spin putters in disc golf. Dead center.
Tight spirals, Matt likes to call
He
them.
definitely puts some tight spirals. I also think of Milo McIver as an entire course, as a course that's barely changed. A lot of the holes out there have barely changed. De La Viega has a few holes that have barely been touched. But you gotta love this one.
I started playing disc golf with my family when I was 8 years old. When I was 16, I got my first job as a cook at a bowling alley, and that's when I made my first batch of beef jerky. As I got better at throwing, I also got better at making beef jerky. Everyone told me they loved my jerky. After 15 years of making my beef jerky as a hobby, I decided to make it available to everyone. Double G Craft Jerky. Give it a try. You're gonna love it.
Here's another hole that's been pretty much untouched. Hole number 5.
It's the only hole 5 I've ever played here.
Yeah, and it's short, 268, but it forces you to hit a gap early over water with, like you said, that tricky wind that kind of seeps off the water, and you can't quite feel it.
If you're first here, it can be trouble sometimes because you're protected and you can't tell the wind. And sometimes if we get that strong tailwind, these shots will just drop out of the sky.
And Cale has dropped one into the water, and the backhand on this is so tough because of what you said. If you have that left to right, that pure crosswind, sometimes it's hard to get a turnover to go where you want. It kind of carries it forward a little bit too much. Connor's just going to try to chip something in bounds. Come on. Give us another Tree Love donation. Let's go.
Wow, that was his Pioneer. It almost climbed the wall right there. Yeah, the forehand really, it's not, it seems easier for the forehand. You just miss that tree, you get it high on angle. The backhand, you have to hit this gap, and it's got to be,
The window is tighter.
it seems like it is,
Yeah.
right?
Like the window of how you land it is tighter. But, then again, you're not skipping. You hit on the ante, even if you hit right of the basket, you have a chance of rolling back. But it's just the trust over the water. And Jordan going with the same. This looks a lot better. I want to jump back to how he threw this park job. I love Jordan Castro's throw. He has what a lot of people like to call a wide rail throw, gets the disc off his body, but again, coils into that same position that all the other players get to. Jordan throws with a lot of spin.
This drop zone shape's pretty similar. That was scary.
That was almost minus $1 for our Tree Love donations. That would have been brutal.
Guy on a canoe in the background. That frame was great.
How many years is it going to be until we have hundreds of spectators just in canoes out here? It could be soon. We're seeing it at Ledgestone already. There's the putt from Cale. Spinner on the last hole. Back to the push putt on this one. In this wind, it's really nice to have both. In the woods, it's pretty nice to have what Connor had there. Nice little kick off the tree. Still would have been a solid shot.
It's hard to be putting away from the water on this hole.
Yeah,
Now that I
again,
think about
tight,
it,
tight window to land the
Most
disc.
time, the forehand, you're putting right back at the water.
Yeah. And this is one of my favorite holes in the course, Nate. Hole 6. Speaking of tricky wind, you see the Stonewall OB on the right. You see the water OB down the left side. You see how tight the right gap to the basket is. This left gap is what a lot of good shots go down, but there's usually some sort of crosswind seeping down that hallway, and you feel it, and it really makes you have to trust your disc, which makes it even tougher to hit this gap.
That's well said, Brian. Hole 6, one of the tougher par 3s out here. Always plays over par.
Oh,
It's probably the
Connor.
quickest hole people take a double bogey on.
No way!
Is this?
Another Tree Love donation. Connor has roll bounced off the entire hallway. It pays to throw smooth.
Just compass drifting up the right side?
And you can't even see the right hallway. Like, you have to trust where your disc is going. And here's Matt puring the...
Back-to-back shots?
We got to be playing our
Wow.
practice rounds with these guys,
You
Nate.
just don't see that very often.
No,
From
usually
any card.
you'll see a circle 2-putt from the left side because a straight shot pushes down that hallway on the left side, but getting right is so challenging. Ooh, and Jordan.
Castro held on to that one.
Man. We got some good woods players in this card. This is a good variety of shots.
This guy's been hitting lines since 2007.
Oh, and he goes M4, and that was a nasty kick. And you saw him kind of swing the hips open as he was throwing, and that's common with a tight gap like this, I feel like. And you know when he has to go to the forehand.
Forehand roller with a mid.
And he just kind of pops it out in bounds, but still, he's going to have a really tough up and down from there. For a 4.
Jordan firing it at that left gap. You have to get lucky through that. Those left trees.
Yeah, because even where Cale's at, you have to pure one of these lines that's still 10 feet wide on either side. Cale going sidearm again. And yeah, it's going to be a 5. Just like that.
Happens so quick on 6, even with no OBs.
It happens very frequently. Yeah, no OBs, and that's a 5. A lot of players spending a lot of time on this hole. If you go 3-3-3 even, you are taking strokes on people. And here's a birdie look. Look how
This
close
is
Connors
as
is.
close as I've seen a backhand.
Wow. And I'm wondering if that thought also crossed Connor's mind. And
Something has to be crossing your mind to miss from that distance.
yeah,
That was for 3 in a row.
yeah, definitely a missed opportunity. And you hear the fans on hole 8.
You could hear them from every hole on the front.
Again, I teed off at 750, and they were still
They were there?
Oh, yeah. What do you think about hole 7, Nate?
Well, I think that if 6 is the most menacing hole, 7 might be the second most.
Yeah, no OB.
It's
There is
so-
some hard to get to.
But early left is jail.
Oh,
And it's not that difficult to hit those early trees, go early, and
Parking this
people
one.
bogey this hole more often
yeah.
than they birdie it.
I will say, though, this sets up for the lines that Connor was throwing last week really well. This little touch of hyzer. Oh, and he's going to pull it a little early, and he's got to stay afloat after missing that short putt. Out here, it really feels like a kick in the stomach to blow an opportunity in the front 9.
Yeah, 7, it says 374, but I feel like it plays
400.
like over 4.
You have to absolutely
Plays like
blast
420
a drive.
maybe.
Yeah.
You can't really shape it too much left or right. You can see we're playing right up a little road. You have to throw it straight. That's why sometimes the fairway, just playing it a little short, is what players will lean towards.
Oh, and Matt has thrown a decent shot. It's breaking a little bit right, but it sneaks a decent way. And he's probably going to have a circle 2 look there. If you throw it low enough, you actually can get a pretty good skip off this road, too, with its subtly moving uphill. Jordan's going to have a little bit of work. You just kind of have to jam the hyzer dead straight and let the disc flip up for you. Just like this. Doesn't even matter. Let's jump back to Cale.
Ooh, from the front.
Yeah, he keeps the disc pretty high initially, but then gets it exactly where he needs to go. Like, there's no extra motion. He extends right on that hyzer line. If you played that back, you could freeze frame it on his extension and know exactly the line he was throwing. Cale is...
It's textbook, isn't it?
Oh, my... Yeah. And every player on tour will say the same thing about him, that they envy his simplicity in the way he throws the disc.
He like slightly air bounces it a little nose up
Yeah.
every single time he throws it, like a little work of art.
It's just because he's a Frisbee player. He can throw anything. Yeah. And when you get that good and you can do that with a driver, that's deadly.
Wow, this is where Cale kicked off to, but he has a look.
Just off the front tray. Yeah, that was a brutal kick, honestly. That was about as good of a drive as you could get. And that's what makes it tough. To pure the basket or pure the line, you're going to be left of the basket if you actually want to pure the shot.
It's been a tough front for Jordan.
Just been a little bit off. I feel like the disc is not coming terrible out of his hand. But like you were saying, you can get out of position here so quickly, even by just being a tiny bit off, and you're in jail. This is a driver's paradise out here. If you're throwing the disc well, putting, you know, obviously matters, but if you are putting it in play constantly, huge advantage out here.
Hole 8, this used to be one where it would kind of feel like a little softball for us.
Yeah.
Not the easiest hole, but like, thank you. Like,
Here's an ace run.
we just played 6 and 7, but yeah, we get to run at this pin now. They've backed it up. It's 368 to the pin, but like a 355 water carry.
And the wind is terrible coming off of this hole. Matt is going to be safe running a long look at the basket. That's actually a perfect spot if you're going to be far away from the basket, you might as well be on the left side. But it is a tough island to hit. And you don't get to lay up. Everything is out of bounds except for the island green. And Cale has dug one into the left side as well. Yeah, I was feeling quite a bit of wind left to right on this.
Yep.
So put a little bit of stall on the shot, right side. See if Connor throws it a little higher because he does like to throw hyzer. Coming in nicely. Come on.
What a line.
He's planting
giving him
many
the one
trees.
tree, but that one kind of looked like that little branch like kept it from carrying a little bit further, and that's all he needed.
That is a relieving park job on hole 8. Jordan trying to take the same line. Ooh, that's got a lot of movement.
And they climbed the wall.
Oh, he jams one again.
Gatekeeper rewind.
Oh, I love how just far out in front of him he gets the disc.
And his follow through with his
Yeah.
right hand, you see that his palm is like down,
Yeah.
facing down. Like a little airplane
yes.
flying at
Well,
the pin.
well, I was going to think air bounce. When you throw an air bounce in Frisbee, your palm faces down. Oh, it looks like he's playing a carnival game sometimes.
That's that's our new drop zone that you just saw. So hole 8, there we go. And Cale connects in the right to left tailwind.
I love the drop zone. It's just far enough to be tempting.
And you have a gallery. It's harder for the majority of players to lay it up when there's a gallery right there.
Oh, I went for it. I went out of bounds today. I think it's a great change. The other drop zone did not allow for any highlight reel moments. It was just a layup from about 100 feet. This at least gets the blood pumping. Jordan is going to tap out a third bogey in a row. He does have a shorter par 4 coming up. Hole number 9. It's only 411. One of the weirder shapes that we see all year in regards to tee shot, because you can eagle this hole.
It's certainly unique. A right-hand backhand player can get one to turn over at the top of this hill and just drift all the way down there.
But you gotta throw flippy. Paul McBeth famously, threw an Avenger SS on this hole, got all the way down there, went out of bounds, and made the putt for a 3. Paul Uleberry has gotten on the green, throwing, 10-year-old ESP nuke. So if you want the big shot, you got to throw flippy, but really just going straight like Matt's doing. Oh, a little inside.
He had so much control just spinning it right out in front of his body.
Yeah. And that's just straight up performance mode. You don't have to think about anything if you know your equipment and your body that well. Cale playing more textbook shot to the top, but he's still going to have a lot of room to go there.
I think this is Connor's hatchet.
And it's a flippy.
Is he going Keystone?
Oh, no.
think that was his keystone, actually. He has a hatchet that's a similar color that would be his aggressive disc on this hole. Something super flip to ride all the way down.
It's so much straighter of a shot than you think. And Jordan is in a decent spot.
Yeah, that is a good spot. It's going to be anytime you're looking at the pin.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Connor trying to just get one to the bottom. Actually, not a bad roll. Oh boy. And a very
shot.
solid forehand roller.
Just look at that green. Just like a waterfall coming out of a log right there.
Yeah. Oh, I love this green.
Look at this floaty nose up shot. And it
I thought that
doesn't
was
clear the
perfect.
wall.
Oh boy. Yeah, I thought that had absolutely enough height. Jordan hoping to make the correction and gets caught up in that clump of trees.
This basket might be the closest to any out of bounds on an elevated basket on the tour. It's
2 or 3 feet.
Yeah. It's 5 feet from the front. Like, it's just.
Go in.
What?
Is that for.
That was for a birdie.
That was for birdie?
Am I like Cale now?
Give us that. Give us that rewind.
This is on Heiser. Gets in
Good
front
on
of the
you,
last
Connor.
tree.
He is putting the work in. He's mentioned that he's been practicing the floaty putter shot. That one wasn't going to be floating if it missed the basket, but that went straight in. That is the magic of Maple Hill. Stuff like this happens every year.
My guy, Connor O'Reilly.
Let's go, dude.
That was a special shot right there.
Will we see another highlight reel?
This is such a hard basket to run.
Wow, what a relief for Connor that must have been.
Finds himself 2 down.
So, in this moment, Cale is playing 2 different shots. He's calling a provisional here. He's making a call that he hit the top of the wall and then kick back into the water, which will allow him to take it on this side. But he's also going to play from back behind the water. And then they're going to ask an official to make a ruling. But if he makes this, it doesn't matter. This is him putting for a par. This is about, what, 35 feet, 40 feet?
Yeah, a couple paces outside circle 1.
And he cashes it, yep.
Drops it in right above the waterfall. This footage is golden right now.
Yeah, I mean-
just have it throw in and just Cale putting across the.
It's such a relief to make both of your shots after calling a provisional, because then you don't have to go through the hassle of calling an official or arguing with your card. And Jordan gets off the bogey train. He's finally got himself a 3 after a great second shot. And as Matt taps out his shot,
Yeah, we got a good look at how much teeth this front 9 has.
yeah, there's a lot of variety in the play that we've seen so
Very,
far.
very scoreable, but it can get out of hand quick.
Well, there you have it. There's the front 9. Very
Adios.
good spread.
Clean 2 down. Connor working hard for his 2 down. 1 over. Jordan Castro 3 over. Front has teeth.
And Joel Freeman right now in the lead, 6 under par with golf to play. playing a little tougher this year. So we will see what happens on this back nine, which historically has been a little bit more scoreable. Thank you again so much to everyone who has tuned in so far. Make sure to subscribe to Gatekeeper Media on YouTube if you have not already. I'm Brian Earhart, he's Nate Perkins, and we will see you next time.